Lisa has never missed a payment in her life. Her credit score is 811. Her net worth is $14,300. I know how that sounds. Let me earn it. Lisa and Marcus are both 34. Both earn approximately $71,000. Both started their careers the same year. Lisa has spent the last decade doing 5 specific things that every financial article, every parent, and every well-meaning coworker told her were smart. Marcus has spent the same decade doing almost none of them and doing a handful of things that sound, on the surface, considerably less impressive. We are going to walk through Lisa's 5 habits one at a time. Each one is going to sound reasonable. Each one is the kind of thing you have probably done yourself or watched someone you respect do without questioning it. And at the end, we are going to look at where that leaves her and where it leaves Marcus doing what looked like less.
Lisa keeps a credit card open exclusively to protect her credit history. The account is 9 years old. She uses it once a quarter for a small purchase and pays it off immediately. This is standard, widely recommended advice. Length of credit history matters for your score. Here is what it costs her that nobody mentions. To maintain credit utilization discipline, Lisa has never carried a balance for a strategic 0% promotional period, never negotiated a large purchase into an interest-free installment plan, and treats every dollar of available credit as something to avoid touching entirely, even when doing so would be mathematically free. Her score is 811. Excellent by any lending standard, but a credit score above roughly 760 unlocks essentially the same interest rates as a score of 850. According to FICO's own published scoring model documentation, lenders treat scores above 760 as functionally equivalent for the vast majority of consumer credit products. Lisa spent a decade optimizing a number well past the point where the optimization produced any additional financial benefit. Marcus has a credit score of 782, good enough for every rate he is needed. He spent 0 additional effort chasing the difference. Lisa takes pride in never financing anything. Her car, her furniture, even a home renovation 3 years ago, all paid in cash, all at once, no interest, no debt. This sounds unambiguously responsible, and in one specific way, it is. But here is the everyday scene worth sitting with for a second. Imagine handing over $22,000 in cash for a car in one transaction, and in the exact same month, a 0% promotional financing offer sits on the table for that same car, meaning you could keep the $22,000 working somewhere else entirely for 5 years at 0 cost and pay the loan off in monthly installments that do not accrue a single dollar of interest. Lisa never took that offer. She always paid cash because debt, to her, felt like the enemy regardless of its cost. According to a 2023 analysis published by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York on consumer financing behavior, when 0% or near 0% promotional financing is available, the mathematically optimal choice for a disciplined saver is almost always to finance and invest the cash difference, because even a conservative investment return exceeds a 0% or 1.9% loan cost by a wide margin. Lisa's $22,000 invested instead of spent outright at the historical 10.1% annual return from NYU Stern's 2023 market database would be worth approximately $59,000 today if left untouched for those 5 years instead. Being debt-free felt smart. It was not the same as being wealth maximizing. Lisa has $34,000 in a traditional savings account earning 0.4% interest per the FDIC's 2024 National Average Deposit Rate data. She started building it at 24 with the standard advice, 3 to 6 months of expenses, and never stopped adding to it because more savings felt safer than less. 3 to 6 months of her expenses is approximately $12,000 to $16,000. She has more than double the upper end of that recommendation, sitting in an account that, after inflation, running between 3 and 4% according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, is actually losing purchasing power every single year. The habit that felt responsible at 24 became a liability at 34. money doing nothing, treated as sacred, that should have been redirected into investment accounts once it crossed the actual safety threshold years earlier. Lisa's company offers stock purchase at a discount, and she has been maxing it out for years. It felt smart. It was literally free money at a 15% discount, and she trusted the company because she worked there and understood the business. She now has 41% of her total investable assets concentrated in a single company's stock, the same company that pays her salary. If that company has a bad year, Lisa does not just lose income, she loses a meaningful share of her net worth simultaneously in the exact same event. According to research published by Fidelity's 2023 Workplace Investing Study, employees who hold concentrated single-stock positions from employer plans experience portfolio volatility roughly double that of diversified index investors, with the added risk that a company layoff and a stock decline frequently arrive together, the worst possible timing for both events to overlap.
Lisa considers stock market investing risky. She has said more than once that she would rather have her money somewhere she can see it and control it than gamble on the market's ups and downs. So the $34,000 sits in the 0.4% account. The stock purchase plan is the only market exposure she has ever chosen, and it is concentrated in one company rather than diversified. She has never opened a Roth IRA. She contributes just enough to her 401k to get the employer match and stops there, because putting in more felt like exposing herself to unnecessary risk. This is the habit underneath all the others. Lisa treats caution as automatically synonymous with financial wisdom. Every one of her 5 habits comes from the same instinct: protect what exists, avoid anything that looks uncertain, applied so consistently that it quietly worked against her for a decade. Marcus has a good, not great credit score. He financed his car at 1.9% and invested the difference. He kept exactly 4 months of expenses and savings and moved everything past that into a Roth IRA and a total market index fund. He never touched his company's stock purchase plan because he did not want single stock exposure tied to his paycheck. He contributes 12% to his 401k automatically and has never once described the market as something he was gambling on. None of it looks impressive on its own. There is no discipline story to tell at a dinner party. He just quietly did the unglamorous version of each of Lisa's 5 habits: slightly less cautious, slightly more automated, slightly more willing to let money sit somewhere that could grow. Lisa's net worth, assembled honestly across every account, is $14,300. Marcus's net worth, same age, same income, same decade, is $187,600. The gap is $173,300. Not from Marcus taking more risk than Lisa, from Lisa's version of safety costing her, quietly, in 5 separate compounding ways for 10 years straight. Lisa found out her actual numbers 3 weeks ago. She has started moving money, some of the savings, some of the concentrated stock position, but untangling a decade of habits that felt correct the entire time is not a 1-month fix. She is mid-correction right now, and whether she gets there before 45 or before 55 depends on choices she has not made yet. We are going to check in on her progress in a future video, because the honest answer is we do not know yet whether she catches up in time. Subscribe to Wealth Science so you see what happens next.